Alright, once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the StarLadder StarSeries Season 14 presented by iLeague. My name is Blue. I'm going to be solo casting the second best of 3 today between FlipSid and Team Dignitas, which is going to be getting started right now. You guys did not miss anything, so calm down in the chat, bring it down about 7 levels, and we're going to get started now right with this one. In case those of you who didn't already check out the map picks, first one's going to be over here on not Overpass, apologies. The first one's going to be over here on Inferno. Obviously, as you can already tell by the map. Going on to our second map, as we take a look once again at the vetoes from there. It's going to be jumping over to our second map, which will be over onto a Mirage. And the third randomized map, if we do need to go to that one, is going to be back on Overpass. The picks, this first one is of FlipSid. They pick this one. Second map over on Mirage is the pick from Dignitas. And of course, the third one, as I already mentioned, is randomized. In case anybody cares about the bans, just for the sake of that. FlipSid got the first pick there. They removed Dust 2. Dignitas then removed Train. FlipSid removed Cash directly after that. And the final map to be removed from the pool was Cobblestone. And that was, again, Dignitas' second choice. So, with the knife round closing out here, guys, we should be ready to rock and roll here in just a couple moments. A best of 3 set, obviously. As you can tell by the 3 maps there, first team with 2 points is going to win it out. And this is in Group... Where is this? Group B, by the way. Currently... I believe Team Envy currently leads the group, kind of tied with FlipSid, actually, as both teams have 3 points at the moment. FlipSid, unfortunately, having 1 loss on their record, though, kind of missing a chance to lead it, but with a little bit of a weakness here on Dignitas recently, with one of their players, unfortunately, dropping from the roster, that does leave them a little bit more vulnerable, especially on a very dynamic map like over here on Inferno, and like over on Mirage as well, where things could get very difficult here when you're bringing in a new player. And, what the hell is going on? Alright. Oh. Alright, apparently somebody, messed up. As it would appear. By the side, so I'm imagining this round is gonna have to get frozen and redone really quickly. I think. If not, then, well, these team kills are obviously going to be a bit unfortunate, but I imagine this round's going to get reset. But anyway, talking a little bit more about these 2 teams, as we take a look at exactly what we're going to be facing off against here in this matchup, of course, Dignitas. I already brought up the fact that, again, the recent unfortunate situation where they ended up having to lose Schneider on their roster. They're now going to be bringing in Tenzki. And I hope I'm saying the name right, by the way. I do apologize if I'm saying it incorrectly. But they're going to be bringing him in here. We'll see how long this lasts. I'm not 100% sure, as I didn't see the full news as of yet. I'm not 100% sure if he's going to be a full addition or if they're just trying him out for the major, just to get a last-minute fill in there. But we'll see, of course. I imagine if things go well, they'll keep him in, and if not, then maybe they'll find somebody else. But basically, it's going to be trial by fire for this guy. He's only got a couple days to really get rehearsed and get up to date on the strategies. And again, they're going to the major, so that's going to be a pretty big thing now for these guys to keep in mind. And I imagine that he's going to be taking it very seriously as well. So already here, this should be the real one as we get started into this one. And for the players on FlipSid, once again, they're going to be starting off onto the T side. And for Team Dignitas, jumping onto the CT side, we'll see how things go for them. A big push from FlipSid, though, to start things off over towards Banana. They're going to have a decoy here, hopefully to draw some false attention from Dignitas, but they're not going to catch anything just as of yet. Bondik and both WorldEdit are also going to be here, and WorldEdit in that jumped up position there, too, sitting like he's levitating, man. Just over there behind the, just over here behind the logs at this point, but finally going to jump down from that spot after he doesn't actually spot anything over by the car position. Dignitas playing very, very passively at this point, not wanting to take the risk onto the players from FlipSid here. And it's going to be Kjaerbye along with MSL sitting inside of that site, waiting for the push to come. But unfortunately for FlipSid, it doesn't really look like they're going to commit to this just as of yet. They really still go to either site, but unfortunately from their positions, it makes it very hard to tell. You can see there that DavCost is going to be sneaking forward too to see if he can get that smoke into there to try and draw a false rotation. But these other 2 making their way in through the apartments. That's going to be with Markelov along with bondik. Trying to find their way out. Bondik getting ready to breach his way out over here through the boiler. And Pimp will be the one to respond to this one, but he falls back, and that nade at the very least is going to draw the attention of Pimp. So now Rapside is basically open for the taking, and DavCost making all the noise he can, but quickly falling back, and that's going to draw it. But now Rapside's been active. However, tenzki is going to be able to hold on. He finds the opening kill over here on the WorldEdit to shut him down. More coming around the corner. He picks up a second one, trying to find the third, but unfortunately Bondik's going to be able to finally take him down. But a 2-for-1 trade, not going to be bad at all for the pistol. Pimp still holding the hard corner there too as he tries to take down bondik. Not going to be able to do so, but as he pops back out, not even catching DavCost there. So he's going to be able to get the free kill over on the Pimp. Markelov and DavCost finding 2 more, and they just execute everybody on Dignitas there. as the round ends, and unfortunately for some reason it said it was over, but Kjaerbye was still showing as alive when he wasn't, so at some point during that, Kjaerbye ended up going down. So Dignitas, actually no, apologies, I think the timer ran out. Yeah, that's correct. My bad, the timer ends up running out there, and Dignitas pick it up, so FlipSid take far too long to make that play even happen, and well, that's interesting. Because it looked like they had that, but that was my fault for not even paying attention to the timer there. So FlipSid are unfortunately going to mess that up there on the timing, and I'll mess that up a little bit too. And now they're going to be down from the get-go here, and Dignitas will actually be able to slip away a little bit, luckily, because, I mean, honestly, had that plan have just transpired quicker, they probably would have won out that round. They had the shutdown coming in there, but thankfully Dignitas managed to transpire because of the timer, but tenzki's going to open it up. bondik thankfully picks up another kill with the Tech 9 there as he tries to go open a duel, as he tries to pick up a kill with the shotgun. Not going to be able to find it. That will be a gun going into the hands of FlipSid now if they want to try to pick that up, but not really reacting upon that push just as of yet. Still sitting back for the time being, and happy with this 4-on-4 advantage that they have to work with here. bondik taking some heat back over there too. He's going to get dropped to 3 HP as he goes for the pickup onto that. It'll be Pimp that tries to do a little bit of damage over towards him. Overall, getting hit pretty heavily. Blade as well, as we take a look at him, he's down to just 44 HP, so FlipSid not doing too well here at this point. And again, that timer becoming a bit of a problem as it gets low. Not a whole lot of map progress being made at this point. As you take a look at tenzki, nice patience there, just waits for the pop from bondik and is able to pick up an easy kill into him. Pimp sitting down in the pit here too, gonna wait for the real push to come in from the rest of FlipSid, as now they make the push for it with 30 seconds left on the clock. Moving themselves back down here, DavCost will go to pick up the shotgun, and the rest of the guys making their way around rap side. But again, that timer, as I already brought it up here, bringing it so low, and WorldEdit's gonna get hit. He's brought down to just 3 HP to try to work this take. tenzki's just waiting for him up on the balcony, the rest will push in. DavCost finds an opening kill with his pistol, but MSL and Pimp were able to respond to that with 2 more of their own, and now it's just gonna be a forced attempt to plant, but nope! MSL gets him through the box and a headshot there. That's going to shut him down. And no plan at all for FlipSid, unfortunately. Dignitas will pick up the second round after all. Still a nice amount of deaths coming their direction with the 2 kills, but unfortunately not enough for really FlipSid to call it a victory considering what they brought into that round. That was the forced up buy from them. Didn't really pick up enough kills. You would kind of say like, yeah, maybe 3 kills is a good pickup there for those guys. It would sort of halt the economy growth along with the plant, but 2 kills and no plant, unfortunately, not going to be very, very good overall. And now they have to go into pretty much a full eco here that Dignitas should be able to easily shut down, considering that they only lost those 2 players. And for those that rebuy, of course, as long as they stay alive, they should be able to just rebuild what they lost off of this round's victory. So for FlipSid again, they play mainly over here towards the apartments in middle. Working their way in here, DavCost is going to take a little bit of heat, but he dishes it back over here onto tenzki, bringing him down to 67 HP. And as well here, Dignitas also going to get a little bit more aggressive back over towards Banana. Kjaerbye and MSL going to try to find their ways to push down here. Won't be able to catch anybody yet, as FlipSid doesn't really want to test that, obviously, with their players being low. But Blade almost walking into that potentially and killing himself. He's dropped to 20 HP. But they'll be able to get past him and push their way up through middle a little bit more now, too. Pimp along with MSL have over here towards the rap side. There's one on porch, too, so this is going to be a very hard choke point to work towards without any utility at all. You just expect this to get shut down, and that's exactly what's going to happen there. All that preparation from FlipSid, and absolutely nothing happens off of it, unfortunately, so they're going to get knocked out pretty quickly. And for the players on Dignitas now, that's a strong lead, and a strong round for them overall, too, with not a lot of damage, to be completely honest, not a lot of damage at all, let alone kills being traded off onto those guys. But I think FlipSid, to some degree, sort of expected that one there with how passive Dignitas have been playing. It would have been very, very hard to make that, to make any entry on either of these sites. So now they're going to get the guns in their hands. No op-buy-up, unfortunately, for Dignitas, just as of yet, as they're going to save what they've got here. Just playing a very long game economically at this point, and they'll go up against full AKs from everybody here on to FlipSid. Kjærbye actually pushes up very aggressively, and this is a very stylistic thing that he likes to do here, and he does it pretty solo, too. He gets a little bit of support from MSL in this regard, but I wouldn't be surprised if MSL starts getting a little bit skittish, and if we just start to see Kjærbye do this on his own, would not be surprising at all, as he likes to play that aggressive CT side, specifically on Inferno. He likes to push down Banana, but he's got to be careful of pushes like that, or shots like that come back in. It's just sort of creeping, hoping WorldEdit would stop shooting, but that's not going to happen. And WorldEdit does escape with a kill over on him without him really getting anything off of that play at all besides the loss of his life. He's going to push forward, only ends up killing himself, and MSL takes some heat from this too. He's dropped down to 52 HP, so not the best start here for FlipSid, or apologies, not the best start for Dignitas now as the gun rounds begin. And the rest of FlipSid working their way in through the mid choke point now. A little bit less resistance here too, as the final 4 players have to sit back and just hold the default angles. They can't take a risk on losing an additional one, as that would immediately potentially throw a false rotation, especially if the site take isn't actually going to be coming in towards where that kill happens. So the rest of the team now, MSL still sitting behind the car angle. He's going to try to catch Markelov and anybody else that's coming up. Banana catches him, but Markelov gets the better aim and is going to be able to take him down. The Colat headshot there through the car. aizy pushes through, finally getting something picked up here for Dignitas, but now that take is going to be on the B side, and it all falls to Pimp. Finds 1 kill, can't get the second as Markelov once again finds the second entry kill here to get themselves onto the site itself. And aizy going to try to work his way in, but Can't really find it. Gets a nice angle there on the DavCost to take him down. Looking for Markelov behind New Box, but won't be able to pick him up just as of yet. Tenzki as well, rotating in from CT through Highway. And now pushing up along with his teammate, but the timer's getting lower. Only one kit sitting on aizy as well, so if he does go down, they've got to make sure that they're going to be able to recover this one. No peeks at all coming out here. FlipSid just stay nice and patient. Another kill for Markelov as he goes up to 3 now. And as tenzki pushes in, this opens up the flank. Tenzki finds the first kill, looking for the second over here onto bondik, but he plays it back nice and safe, and too much time has gone by now, so there's no way tenzki's going to be able to do it. bondik even going to chase down the kill at this point to get the extra money. They knows they're both going to die. Tenzki, though, will actually get the money at the end of it. Both will end up going down, so everybody dies, but nonetheless, FlipSid pick up the round here. They're going to get the gun round onto the board, and now they strike back for the first time here at the members of Dignitas, but because of the way that Dignitas is saved from the third round, they're going to be able to squeak through another buy, and an op as well will come into play once again into the hands of aizy to try to work a little bit more of an aggression this time around. Unfortunately, this op buy-up has limited the potentiality from Dignitas, as Kjaerbye is going to be stuck down onto his CZ, and that'll be the only thing he has. He's also the only player on this team with a kit right now, too, so if he plays that aggressive positioning that we're used to seeing him go for, that could be a kit down very far out, and unfortunately, if Dignitas can't hold their other angles, then they won't be able to recover that, and that could be troublesome if FlipSid go into a long planted situation once again. But thankfully for aizy, he starts it off strong, back over towards the mid choke point, shutting down WorldEdit right from the get-go. And FlipSid are going to be hindered a little bit. And we can actually tell on the economy side of things, it's looking a lot better for Dignitas, too, because we haven't even talked about their buys as of yet. Unfortunately, 2 Galils in the mix along with those 2 AKs. They're stretching the dollars a little bit here, too, so this means an eco for both teams, depending on who ends up losing this one. So aizy, we can see here that bondik has spotted his shoulder just around that corner, but as he creeps forward, he's actually going to pick it up there. I'm actually pretty amazed it took him that long to spot bondik, but the shot coming out from aizy is just going to completely miss. Now they've got control of the long calls, and they've got it up over here on balcony if they should choose to pick that one up. Not going to go for it just as of yet. But again, from Dignitas, this same very unfortunate situation that they were stuck in the previous round too, where now they're stuck with 2 players on each site. The 2 on A are going to take up the default positionings. MSL going to try to push forward a little bit in hopes of crusading out here onto Banana and catching some players. He manages to spot one, but a lot more cautious about it this time, so he falls back before he takes any heat. Now going to pop out, but the timing is not the best on this one, as most of FlipSid was still stuck back, but now the take is going to begin. And Kjaerbye falling back to CT, goes for the pop flash with the CZ. He's going to try to get right in their face, but he doesn't even know that everybody from FlipSid at this point, not even here, they're falling back. They're actually going through A right now. And now that pressure will shift over here to Pimp and tenzki. Tenzki safely within pit, but he sees us coming in, and again, that timer's so low. Tenzki even kills one of them. That could stop the plant, but we're going to see there are 5 seconds left, in bondik as well on the flanked angle there. Picks up the kill, so they actually managed to secure that just very nicely. And MSL, unfortunately, doesn't really have a whole lot left to do. He was the safe player on B side in case the bomb did end up coming into there, but obviously with the timer getting that low, there wasn't going to be an opportunity to, so as soon as it got spotted, it might have been better for him to move over. Just a bit unfortunate that it took that long to spot it, and once FlipSid started that take, it was very, very quick and very hard for Dignitas to stop unless they had picked up the initial trades, which doesn't happen. And that seems to be a little bit more of a problem here that's starting to surface for Dignitas. As FlipSid once again pick up a couple rounds here. The defense is looking a little bit weak here when they're put under pressure. Obviously that pistol round was a bit of an exception because the timer had been brought down so low, and I think FlipSid miscalculated that a little bit. I was even surprised too. Just because of once the action started, man, it got rolling, and unfortunately for FlipSid, I think it was just a little bit too intense for them to actually keep their eyes on what was happening. So Kjaerbye ends up making it out of that, luckily picking up the pistol in that first one. But after the next 2 rounds, of course, now the troubles start to reappear with FlipSid playing this very, very strategically. And Dignitas' defense is not being exactly where they need to be to start this off. aizy also taking that big risk there too in long hauls, sort of overpeaked and having his shoulder already exposed. The fact that he couldn't catch the player on the right side from his point of view, pretty big detriment there, and a pretty big pickup for bondik and the rest of FlipSid. But interestingly enough now, WorldEdit is going to be able to scavenge that, and the rest of the team sort of arm themselves up here too. WorldEdit will lead the charge now, armed with the op, pushing his way up here through Banana, making a lot of noise too, is going to be just behind him. That's going to be Blade. Trying to see if he can catch anybody from Dignitas, but they've gone for a pretty heavy stack now as they're onto a broken buy. MSL, of course, managing to save his rifle from the previous round, but he's way out of line, and there's WorldEdit. Player up on spools just gets shut down there by him as Kjaerby's knocked out already. Pimp knows that the pressure's here, and I imagine that Kjaerbye was able to spot 1 or 2 of these players too when they peeked out, but Blade's starting to work out. Doesn't catch tenzki, but tenzki's slow on the reaction too, so he's going to fall, but thankfully Pimp is quick on the shot, so he's going to be able to catch the kill directly after that one. bondik finding one as well, but aizy also able to respond to this, so the 3 is still alive here now from Dignitas, or the 2 still alive, apologies, from Dignitas. They're going to be able to upgrade themselves. Pimp gets his op back into his hands as well, and now they're going to push in. Unfortunately for FlipSid, because of this happening, FlipSid still find a very easy way to get into the site here, and although things go very well for Dignitas on the B site, the A site's a completely different story as the entries come in flawlessly. Not a single hit point of damage taken on anybody from FlipSid that went into that A site, and for the final 2 on Dignitas here, excuse me, now that they have picked up the guns, I don't believe that we are going to see them really try to do too much else this time. Just going to try to save those to make the next rounds by a little bit easier. Obviously with the op in play here too, that's pretty much a free upgrade to a pretty big gun for these guys. So Pimp's getting this back into his control now. And I think this is his gun. So he drops it to his teammate loses it, gets picked up by an enemy, then he kills that enemy and re-picks it back up. And now potentially is going to drop back over to a teammate again. So yeah, it's a fun little transition that ends up happening there. But it looks like he's actually going to hold on to it this time. And for Dignitas now, being tied up by the members of FlipSid, and WorldEdit just goes for his own natural op buy-up this time around, as they'll try to work that. And we'll have our first real op-on-op battle. They might meet each other early on, but unfortunately Pimp not actually going to catch anything here, as most of FlipSid sticking. He tries to go for the flick, not going to connect onto it. That should pretty much end any early aggression there, and hopefully stop FlipSid from pressing up there towards middle too, as there's no smokes or anything coming onto it at the moment. Most of the pressure from FlipSid is happening back over here on alt middle to try to push their way up to the apartments once again. It's really Markelov finding his way up the staircase. Nobody really here from Dignitas either, though, as they've just taken up default positions, so they're not really going to be in a good spot to stop this. Tenzki would be probably the first player to get into the way of this one. But again, it looks like FlipSid is pretty much avoiding long haul for the time being. Doesn't mean bondik will try to go towards it like he did in some of the previous rounds here too, and that may end up being the case here if they just work for a default take onto that A site, but B is still very much a potentiality too, and they've already done this about 2 to 3 times where they've gone and make a lot of noise on one site and then immediately shift all of their assets towards the other, and this is looking like what it may end up being over here on the A site for the time being. Now they start to shift back, now they start to shift a lot of their players over here towards the B site, and it'll be all on Kjaerbye and MSL again. MSL out in the open. Look at that sticker bug, by the way. As the rest of FlipSid line up for the take to make their way onto this site. There we go. Thank you, MSL. You fixed it for me. That's so nice. And here comes the members of FlipSid now. They're going to roll their way out the pop flush from MSL, so he's going to try to go big here and pick up some kills, but there's no push at all. He's going to pick up a little bit of damage, but that only reveals himself. Well, Blade immediately takes him down, and now the rest of the team, they're going to roll. They've only got that player sitting inside of Emo Box over there. That's going to be Kjærbye, and he gets shut down there too after picking up a kill into DavCost, so bondik finds him. They survive 4 on 3. The op shots are coming in at this point from Pimp, trying to find a trade, but they can't get it. And the timer from FlipSid, man, they are just playing it to the edge. Another round where they plant that bomb with just about 5 seconds left on the clock, or with less than 5 seconds left on the clock in the case of the previous rounds here, but that works so potently that they actually just force another complete save here from Dignitas. That's like the second or third time that has happened as well here. So Dignitas just not being aware of how low the timer gets and not being aware of where that take is happening. They're given no time to react to this one, and when the take comes in, it happens so swiftly that Dignitas' players, the rest of them that are not on the site, they're given no time to react to it, they're given no time to rotate in, and unfortunately, without the utility being bought up here at this point, with their economy being so weak, they're given no choice but to save, essentially. As unfortunately for FlipSid, they essentially just waltz right into the site a lot of these times, pick up 2 to 3 kills in their entries, and although they maybe trade a couple times, obviously with that very minimal utility usage, they're left with plenty of smokes, plenty of volleys and whatnot for the post-plant scenario, and that just does not let a CT team back in, especially with how delicate the economy can be, pressuring that one and taking a risk on that one. Obviously, in a couple rounds here, it's going to get to a point where Dignitas, you know, they sort of are just going to have to go for it off of the necessity that they're letting FlipSid get too many T-sided rounds. They just have to, you know, basically grow some balls and go for it here, But if they continue to let FlipSid do this here, this is, as I just mentioned, this is going to amass them a large amount of rounds on the T side, and so far it's been pretty much unhindered. But now we can see them trying to go into the apartments of this crossfire setup from tenzki and aizy, going to allow them to pick up 2 kills. DavCost responds with 1, and he finds a second one from within inside the bedroom too. tenzki and aizy both going to follow that, so it's an even 2-for-2 trade at the end of the day. They do spot the bomb, but that doesn't mean that can get changed up at all here. Pimp moves in, not going to spot anything out of the balcony, so we can call this in a minute here. And MSL is going to fully commit for the time being over here to the wrap side to make sure that nothing is coming back through the mid choke point, but he's going to need to possibly work his way back. However, they're a little bit smarter about this, and FlipSid too, they're going to try to trick them, but I think it may have been caught on. It all depends on what MSL decides to do right here. If he falls back over towards that B site, then it's going to be left open for the taking, and all the pressure will be on Pimp with just that op to hold a 1-on-3 take, but now he hears the flashback over here through mid, so he should be able to stick around inside of the arches, and I'm honestly not sure if FlipSid are going to be expecting 2 out of 3 of these players to be here. They might even call for Kjærbye to come over here in just a second. He's usually the solo player, but they're going to need his help. As they start to push in, MSL knows they're close from that angle, moves out, and the shot from WorldEdit, it's going to miss. DavCost looks for the response, but he can't find it. And MSL gets dinked, but it's through a wall, so he's only dropped to 67 HP, and he's going to be able to molly this one too. Now this gives Pimp a little bit more room to maneuver at this point. He's only having to deal with 2 players. Doesn't even notice, though, that some of them are pushing right past him. He's going to try to sneak through this smoke, but there's MSL coming in for the support. The plant will come out from DavCost, but, oh, somehow that shot missed, and DavCost is going to end up shutting down Pimp. Now he's trying to hold off MSL, but in just a second here, he's going to find that kill. Now he's going to try to take down Kjærbye, but thankfully Kjærbye's there and is ready to hold off that site for the time being. So finally here, a round from Dignitas goes their way. Some very patient play and some very risky play overall there. MSL just basically waited around, had absolute confidence in Kjærbye's ability to hold off onto the B side if the push did come in from there. And that's often been the problem, is that they just rush so quickly into that B side that they haven't been given enough time to rotate. So had that been a problem, and had Kjærbye not been able to hold it, that would have been another round where, again, we probably just would have seen them save outright. But thankfully, MSL sticks behind, and FlipSid change up the game a little bit. But it's in a way that Dignitas are able to predict. And once MSL hears those nades coming back in through the mid choke point, he can confirm it's there. And they're able to hold it. It brings it down very close. But again, that rotation from Kjærbye is also called at the right time. So he is able to stop it and finish it off as the last player alive. It's not going to help to build up their economy that much, I should say, but still here. They pick up another round, and that's what's important now with FlipSid picking up 4 in a row. It's denying that and trying to break down their economy a little bit more here, too, so that they can't maintain and they can get a couple free rounds onto the board to build up that lead once again. And speaking of a lead, to open things up here in the 9th round, Pimp is going to open things up with an op shot. Going over there onto FlipSid, WorldEdit takes him. WorldEdit will be taken down from that play. Markelov is also going to fall on aizy, finding 2 additional kills from within side of the bedroom there, too. Picking them up. Dignitas try to push into him. Or FlipSid try to push into them, but it doesn't really go very well. DavCost is going to try to work with Blade now to get themselves inside of the apartments and try to work something from there, but overall this push is going to be very malnourished now. As DavCost with the op trying to work his way outside a boiler. They're already ready from that angle. And if aizy as well gets any heat from the balcony, he should be able to handle it pretty easily. So I think FlipSid, there's only 30 seconds left, as again, they're a very low time playing team here at this point. Molly's coming off, they're being held, and they may just call to save it at this point. DavCost even taking some additional damage there as well from the Molly, so I think they're just going to call it. Maybe actually no, they're going over here towards Banana, so they're just going to try for an outright B take and see if they can work that. The Molly goes in, so I mean it's been perfect before, but it's got to be perfect once again. And they've already taken some damage there. And Pimp ready with one shot. Molly blocks it off, and yeah, that's not going to be very well placed at all. Might have just ended up being better to save with how passively Dignitas have been playing it, but I guess they just wanted to go for it there. And now they still got enough money for another buy up here too, so I don't think they had too much reason to worry. But actually, no, they're not going to want to scavenge guns here for their teammates. They're not going to want to downgrade to Galil's and drop a couple extra guns, so they're just going to go out for an outright save this time. A couple armor bots for those that did have the extra cash. So that's going to be DavCost, Markelov, and bondik now going for those. One Deagle on DavCost as well, along with WorldEdit, but these other two are not going to have armor to work with, so that's going to make it a very tough take, and not a whole lot of utility here either. So already, Dignitas, I think, caught on to this time, so they just played aggressive once again with Kjærbye, and both Kjærbye along with MSL will push towards that position down Banana. They shut it down, they get it smoked off. Markelov finds a nice shot as well, as he kind of gets free reign back over here onto the balcony. Nobody watching that, as tenzki usually does, and that's going to be a big mistake that he ends up making there, as Markelov's able to find the kill. He should have been able to spot aizy here, but he's moving around a little bit too much. Now his eyes are absolutely trained there on that, so Markelov, I think, is going to pull off of this one and wait for the rest of his teammates at the very least to get themselves in positions. He's Molly too, so we won't be able to push into this. We'll have to just fall back now and wait for this Molly to expire, or wait for his teammates to get into a good enough position that he can just run right through that. Pimp, though, back over here on Rap side, picking up a good shot over there on the DavCost. bondik, I imagine, will probably shift away from moving out over there towards the boiler at this point, but no, looks like they're still going to go for it. As they continue to play it slowly, there is going to be a missed shot that comes out there from Pimp. Won't be able to connect that, and these players are looking for those pistol shots, but not really coming out too well there. Pimp picking up another one. aizy, I'm actually pretty amazed Markelov didn't catch aizy, but aizy's going to be able to take down Markelov. And now bondik, unfortunately, with just 20 seconds left, not a whole lot he can do at this point. Dignitas has control of the bomb, they've got it surrounded. He's still stuck inside of the apartments here too. Hasn't made any noise just as of yet, so they don't fully know where he is, but if he wants to go for this, he's got to go for this for the next 8 seconds, and there we go. Pimp will shut him down quickly. It's a very clean round for Dignitas once again. And now they'll get another chance to build up their economy as a FlipSid with that nice little buy that might have not needed to happen. They can go into another very strong buy here. That's the thing, is obviously if they had force bought previously, or if they had gone for the buy previously, they would have been on a full eco this round. But now, because they've just gone for that single save, they're going to be able to get themselves back into this game. And that's not a bad choice when you look at what they have in play already here. They've already won 4 rounds here. They're keeping it close. They're keeping it 6-4. So if they can maintain something like that and go, you know, like 8-7 or 9-6 at the end of the half, that's still not going to be very bad at all for a T side over here on T-side over on Inferno. And the lineup from WorldEdit there is going to shut down MSL. They go for the boost and take him down. So already that aggression getting punished once again from Dignitas. They try to go for it, but it's injured very heavily. aizy finds a response at least, but WorldEdit's there just waiting for the peak to come out from aizy. He's going to be able to shut him down. And although he does pick up a kill, that's going to be the only one he grabs. DavCost also having some luck on his own there too, shutting down an additional player from within side of the apartments. And Now Blade just going to re-smoke things, prevent anybody from Dignitas from pushing in, and we've even just seen the all-in here too. This is actually pretty rare to see, but because of how heavily Dignitas have been hit here so early in the round, they're just going to be moving. They're just going to be moving Kjaerbye over to try and assist, but it's going to be essentially of no use here. Markelov's already taken down tenzki, and with Kjaerbye finding this kill into DavCost, they know where he is. They know he's going to be sitting over here along this area somewhere. Tries to find a headshot over there on the WorldEdit, and almost gets it too. He brings it down to 2 HP, but WorldEdit again finding his 3rd kill and the final kill for FlipSid there in that round. He's going to shut it down. And that good patience on the previous round pays off in huge dividends because now they can just play. Now they just play super passively, and they catch it on a round where Dignitas wanted to play aggressive CT side again. So they just walk into so many shots from WorldEdit. He shuts down 2 players almost within the first 30 seconds of the round. And obviously the other kills coming in there too with DavCost finding another one, and then beyond that, just an easy walk over there for FlipSid as Dignitas play it right into their hands. And now we're going to go into another one where they're holding back a little more, sort of semi-passive. MSL sitting behind the sandbags. He's going to take on DavCost in a second. A little bit of trouble with the spray and actually won't get him. But he goes for this bounce nade. It'll connect onto the offer, but not going to finish him off. And WorldEdit as well finds the response to this one by finding that kill on MSL. DavCost makes it out of it unscathed. Well, not necessarily unscathed, but he makes it out of it alive with 2 HP still left. Probably going to have to play very, very passively for the rest of this round, or at the very least hang back behind his own teammates, but still he's alive and well. That's an extra player they can use in the clutch if it comes down to it. And now for the rest of these guys, still split up, still looking for a couple extra picks if they can find them to prevent rotations, but the players on A, and this is just come down to what is happening for Dignitas whenever they lose a player, is they have to pull back, maybe have Kjaerbye or MSL still pushing out Banana a little bit, but this time he's going to be hanging out on the porch cubby. And for the rest of them on the A site, they're just sitting back in default positions. aizy just outside of the pit behind the truck, and tenzki watching rap side, ready to fall back into the site or in the graveyard at a moment's notice should FlipSid put any pressure in here, but FlipSid being very careful about this for the time being. The pop flash is going to come out, but they haven't peeked yet, so he's still going to have no idea. Thankfully, there's an op shot from WorldEdit, so they do get some semblance that is going to push out. They catch one of these players moving inside of arches, but oh, very awkward reaction there from the members of FlipSid. Nobody's going to be able to take down tenzki, and he's going to be able to punish Blade for this now as he takes him down. Nobody else made it through arches as of yet, but at the same time, they're all pushing around the porch side here, and aizy's going to have to try to hold this along with the push coming out there. He didn't actually catch that player. No, he did over there on the balcony, so he finds 1 kill, 2 kill, 3 kills, shutting down bondik, DavCost, and Markelov, and now it's just WorldEdit in the site with an op working a 1-on-3, and aizy's gonna find that one as well. What a round from aizy, and Dignitas swing right back into that again, now finding their 7th round, trying to get this comeback rolling, trying to take that lead, and trying to take it confidently up to 10-5 at the very least. But for FlipSid now, their economy will be reset for another time. They could buy up on a couple of these guys, but again, making the economical choice when it comes down to it, and they're just going to go for the save here. P250's Glock in play from WorldEdit, as he needs to save fully for that up. 2 deagles on DavCost along with Blade, and not a whole lot else beyond that once again. So now we see the players on FlipSid going back to that not as active push, but still the very default setup as they look for these picks early on in the round, trying to take a very small amount of control and watching out to see if there'll be any aggression from the members of Dignitas themselves here. Again, keep in mind, not a whole lot they can do. aizy is going to end up getting dinked, but I believe it's through a wall and with a pistol, so only brings him down to 79 HP. Blade, though, gonna have a little bit of better luck there, finding a kill. MSL will get the trade, and now they've been opened up here, so aizy's gonna be able to push back into this. MSL with an op now, too, picking up some kills for himself. Kjaerbye, he's gonna move in, look for the final one under WorldEdit. Down to 32 HP. They already know where he's at, and the bomb is down here too, so not actually going to directly push out towards the middle just yet because he does have that deagle and it could do some damage, but thankfully they wait for him to fall back down the T-ramp, and aizy's going to be able to catch him there. So Dignitas up to 8 points now. They've officially got the advantage as we head on to the second part, but still remember it's Inferno, and already 5 points on the board for FlipSid, and now they're going to get another buy round for themselves here too. This is what they play for. They play for this passive economy setup here on FlipSid. They don't go for the aggressive buying stress that you see from some of these other teams. They wait for the appropriate time that they can get full utility set up, everything they need. Unfortunately, this time, they're not going to be able to have that up on a WorldEdit, so they'll be a little bit weakened by that. Granted, we haven't really seen... We've seen some good rounds from WorldEdit, but I don't think we've seen him sort of dictating the pace here for FlipSid as some other oppers do on some teams, specifically a lot of North American teams, so it's not going to be as crucial that they get him that, and he can still perform very well with a rifle anyway, and already they're doing some damage too over on the pit. Dropped him down to 29 HP. He's not even going to take the shot, he just falls back and is going to yield control of the mid-choke point to the players on FlipSid for the time being. They will not exercise upon this, as obviously they don't know. He's completely fallen off as of yet, but at the same time, FlipSid will get into the apartments. Not a lot of aggressive control being moved into there from the players on Dignitas. tenzki along with aizy, both waiting just outside of the balcony approach, one watching over there towards the porch side, and WorldEdit again. Getting some nice damage, now finishing off a player this time around, brings MSL and takes him out of the play. He's going to be left alive with just 11 HP, but still it's enough aggression to hold Kjaerbye back just in case the rest of his team would follow suit off that kill and push in. And they're going to sit back for the time being. And FlipSid will just go for this entry onto A, or at the very least make a lot of noise there. A couple nades also getting tossed over towards B, as I think Pimp might have assumed that this is going to be a fake, which we've seen a lot of that from FlipSid, so it wouldn't be too surprising. And that, for the time being, is exactly what we're going to have. That nade that comes out there from Nubox from Pimp almost takes down WorldEdit, brings him down to 2 HP. Markelov in the meantime, also catching Kjaerbye off again. Hasn't had a lot of luck with that aggression, but now Pimp gets his turn to party. He's going to find an opening shot. aizy killing one of the fakers back over on A, and Pimp again shuts down 2 kills there. One with the op, switches to the pistol, finishes off another one. And now bondik's going to try to find his way in, but Pimp shuts that down as well. Another 4K for one of the members of Dignitas. He's going to come out on top this time, shuts it down, and now they've got the good lead going for themselves, 9-5. And up in a very, very big margin. And unfortunately for FlipSid, they spend all this time trying to build things up, and they spend all this time keeping it so close, but Dignitas just run away near the end of this now with some fantastic plays. They bring it back in a big way in their favor, and for the members of FlipSid, they've got a lot of work to do on that CT side to swing back. If they can pick up this 6, maybe, it's not going to look too confident with the Tech 9 buy-up they're working with at this point, but if they can somehow swing through with this round, then maybe they can get themselves back into it. And there's going to be bondik, actually, opens it up with 2 kills. Tenzki looking for a response at it now, but as he tosses that molly out, he has to fall back here and get himself into a position by the guard, and he ends up flashing himself, so he can't do that too much. And there's going to be Markelov finding an additional kill now for the members of FlipSid, takes down aizy. Now Tenzki looking for a way back in. The smoke is going to diffuse some of that molly that's gone down, but WorldEdit should feel safe enough to get the plan at this point, as they've taken down almost everybody on Dignitas, so they may be able to escape with the 6-point after all. Tenzki and Pimp looking for a way to kick up a couple shots here to find their way back in, but a 2-on-5, not a whole lot they can do about this, unfortunately. And Pimp's actually going to smoke his own way off just so he can get himself into construction and regroup with Tenzki. I imagine they're just going to go right for this retake here. Tenzki looking for the pop out there. Blade has spotted him. He's looking for the headshot on the spray down there, but won't be able to find it. And now they know where Pimp is, and he's just going to get surrounded. So, off of a pretty incompetent buy, FlipSid do end up squeaking through with at least one more round before the half ends. They'll bring it to 9-6, which again wouldn't have been. It's not bad at all. It's kind of it's a pretty good T-sided half over here for Inferno, to be completely honest. So FlipSid with a pretty good edge on this one. Now gonna have to try to build it up on their CT side. And Dignitas, they brought it back in a big way, and we saw some all-star performances there near the end, specifically from aizy along with Pimp. But now they're gonna have to show it, and also, just talking about some of the individual plays that we could have seen here too. Kjærbye, just as a note for him, we didn't really see him sort of shining as brightly as he has in the past. Specifically, we look at some of the matches where Dignitas don't end up really doing so well, and normally Kjærbye ends up on top. And even the ones that they do so well, Kjærbye's normally one of the brighter players, and normally one of the higher fraggers here. But we haven't been seeing all that much from him as of yet in this matchup. So potentially on that T side we could see a little bit more. Granted, again, the B side of play really didn't come in all that much until the end. And oftentimes there too, one of the biggest problems for Kjærbye was the fact that he continuously tried to go for this aggressive push down banana and found himself dead a lot of the time. So that became a pretty big problem there for a lot of it as well, is that he just oftentimes just sort of killed himself by making that push and losing that duel there. But now over onto the T side, the dynamics are going to change up in a pretty big way, and if his fragging power is a little bit more on point on this T side, we could see him coming in a big way. And now, along with the possible momentum carrying over from the other two now, that can make for 3 very strong fraggers here on the side of Dignitas to maintain that lead and potentially win out the match here and give them the 1 point in this set. Now for the rest of Dignitas, they're going to work their way in. There's some resistance coming out from FlipSid, and DavCost is actually going to find 2 just inside of the long haul there before Kjærbye trades him out. The rest of the team working their way out over onto that A site too. aizy looking for a response back over here to try to take him down, but thankfully that support from Pimp is going to come in. aizy still ends up picking up the kill, but that's going to shut down Blade. And now the rest of FlipSid, they're going to try to rotate in, but they've been denied access for the most part here now too. And Dignitas are getting into post plant, so this is a very swift take from Dignitas. And FlipSid, unfortunately, haven't been able to react this quickly enough. Him almost lining up that kill in a WorldEdit. aizy in the meantime finding another one on a Markelov, and he's going to pick up the second one there too. aizy up to 3 kills already, looking for the 4th potentially on a bondik as he's going to push directly in him. That nade doesn't really connect, but aizy, I think he wanted the knife. I think he was hoping he could bunny hop over to catch him, but he gets tagged just before he gets close enough. So bondik is going to be able to, at the very least, shut him down. He's looking for another kill or 2 here. Finds a nice headshot, looking for the second. Not going to get it. Kjærbye ends up taking him down, but unfortunately for Kjærbye, a little bit too close to the bomb explosion there, and even that corner won't be saving him, so he's going to end up going down. He's going to have to rebuy his armor. Same story for everybody else on Dignitas, though, and the rest of the CTUs as well, so not too big of a deal. The big thing is that they pick up the round here, and now should be able to maintain an advantage unless we see an eco being picked up here by FlipSid of the second, which, interestingly enough, I'm going to have to correct myself here in a second, potentially. was going to say we weren't really going to be seeing too aggressive of a buyout from FlipSid, which to some degree is still true, but a lot of these players sort of buying out now to upgrade to P250s and 5.7s, and in the case of DavCost, he goes for the Deagle buy, so they actually are going to try to take the second round response right into the faces of Dignitas, and potentially try to eco them right from the get-go, but a great nade from tenzki to start it off. Already bringing WorldEdit down to 9 HP. DavCost also taking some heat there too. That's happening, of course, a little bit closer to the B site, but now him being dropped to 64 doesn't help the cause of the members of FlipSid either. Looking for the headshot there on the Deagle, not going to be able to find it. And MSL finding the way in. DavCost gets one headshot, looking for another, and he does some good damage, but it's not going to be enough to take it down. Aizy will be left at 7 HP, and he's going to have to hide in a corner, but this is still a great start for Dignitas, so they should be able to lock it down from this point forward. Aizy's sitting himself over here inside of construction, just going to wait for a push to come in, and he's at a very, very cheeky angle too, so if FlipSid just try to directly push him, obviously he's going to have a good time, but if they do catch him, he should be an easy target to take down. He's not giving them a very big hitbox to hit against, and for FlipSid, obviously, it doesn't look like they're really going to even try to stop this at this point. That's another situation where the take just comes in far too quickly, and the calls aren't made fast enough either, so FlipSid aren't able to rotate in time to get themselves in to stop that take from happening. And obviously, with the guns they have, it would be nominal to take those into the next round at the very least, so that they'll have some semblance of resistance to try and do some economical damage. They won't be getting this round, obviously. They may not be able to get the next one, but at the very least, with those guns in play, they can try to get a little bit more damage. And also the armor buy to save them some cash, too. Especially if they can make it through the third round with that, as that's going to be, if they don't take any damage off of it, it is going to be a free upgrade to a helmet for a very, very cheap amount. And now Dignitas as well. Not a whole lot of farming in their future. I should note that MSL is still going to stick with one for the time being to try and pick up some kills with the MAC-10, but the rest of Team Dignitas just going to stick with AKs. They're already upgraded just in case FlipSid would try to go for a crazy force fire or anything like that. So they're ready for it. MSL's going to move in. Try to catch this player from within side of boy. A little bit of trouble doing so, but as he rolls in, no, actually, Blade's going to play him out and pick up the kill there. Thankfully, Kjærbye's quick on the response. That's going to shut down Blade after he finds that kill. It's not going to be a whole lot of farming, but meanwhile, bondik there, flanking these players through the apartments, taking out tenzki. Unfortunately, an off-angle kill comes out, and Kjærbye, in the side of the mid choke point there, is going to be able to catch him out without any further conflict. bondik and WorldEdit will be the final two up, and both are on the A site too, so if Dignitas push into this, they might find themselves walking right into a hornet's nest, but still, with what they've got left, a default pistol here on DavCost, and as well, just a P250 onto WorldEdit. No armor on either of these players either. Not a whole lot they can do to resist this, so it should be some easy pickups here from Dignitas. WorldEdit's going to pop, but he gets headshot, and now they know where DavCost is, so see if he gets lucky, but aim punch going to hit him pretty hard there against Kjærbye, so Kjærbye's going to be able to take him down, and that's exactly as we expected now. 12-6 in the favor of Team Dignitas. FlipSid still floating behind a little bit. They're going to go for their buy-ups this time around now, obviously. And the op does come into play over here on the WorldEdit. They saved enough cash in order to give him that at the very least, as we could see from his very preservative buy in the second round, as well as obviously not really picking up anything in the third. And the rest of the team now, too, arming themselves. WorldEdit won't have a whole lot of utility to work with in terms of what WorldEdit may be able to find. It's not going to be much, to be honest with you. Blade and him may end up peeking over here towards middle, but most of the presence happening either on Banana or inside of the apartments. You can see here that aizy pushes forward, waits to see if we'll see any resistance coming out from FlipSid, but somewhat similarly to what we saw here from the members of Dignitas in that first half. They too are holding back. They are going to challenge middle a little bit more directly, but that ends up being a mistake as MSL is going to find the opening shot here. Takes down one of them. The other two will fall back, and they're going to sit themselves onto the site, the same positions we saw before, and it's almost identical to what happened on Team Dignitas every single time they lost their opening battle there, and they got themselves a player down. Thankfully, at the very least, they've gotten some good damage onto both Kjærbye and tenzki, so it's not a completely lost cause, just as of yet. But for Blade, he's probably going to get the first bit of heat as he waits for this push to come out over here along Rap side. The rest of the team trying to push their way out over here towards this as well. The flash comes out, and that's a perfect flash, but Blade a little bit slow in the response. He only gets one kill, and is not able to get himself behind cover quickly enough, so Pimp is going to find the response onto that one. And the rest of the team here, too, trying to push their way in. bondik finding another one from the CT side. Pimp gets a response to this one. aizy making some progress on the B site, and that may end up holding Markelov in, but with the plant coming on A, I'm pretty sure they spotted the bomb so they can know it's coming in towards this direction, and still from Markelov, not a whole lot left that he can do here. So he is going to move his way in. They've already got eyes locked onto him. No one going to be shooting him, thankfully, because the smoke is blocking it. But as he tries to sneak in, I imagine that's an easy pickup. No, Kjærbye doesn't actually see him, so he's going to move in. He finds that one. Almost catches Pimp as he's kind of screwing around there on balcony, too. But thankfully, Pimp's close enough to the door to get himself into cover. And it'll be aizy with a quick shutdown there to take out Markelov. And Dignitas pick up the first gun round as well. Now they're in a very big lead. Dignitas will have to eco here once again. Just judging by the way that they've been playing their strategy, they could obviously go for an armor buy if they want to, but obviously they'll probably try to do it on the 14th point, as that will make a lot more sense. just to try and do it there instead of having to potentially deal with 2 upgraded pistol buy-ups in a row before you can get yourselves into a position where you can buy arm, or where you can buy guns once again. And Dignitas just have to be feeling great at this point, to be completely honest. Not really using the optics as of yet here, and we can see DavCost in a held back position, so he can maybe get some kills. Line him up, he finds 2 headshots on MSL and aizy. Tenzki trades it up, but now they know it's coming in, so they can rotate more assets over here. They already had 3 players positioned on this site from the get-go, so if Dignitas stick with the strat, they're going to be running into a little bit of a massacre. The problem is nobody else with close-range CZ battles that is going to be coming up, though. Markelov has got a P250, but he's got to hug it in close corner. WorldEdit's been spotted already back over there. Blade also getting hit pretty heavily back on the A site here, too. Or actually, no, that's happening back. I don't even know what he got hit by, but for something hit him. I think it was a nade or something, but it brings him down to 29 HP. And I think Dignitas have caught on to the potentiality here of there being a big hold coming out from these guys, but nonetheless, look at bondik right behind these guys, but Tenzki spots him, thankfully, and is going to be able to shut him down before he can do any real damage to the members of the players on Dignitas here. Dignitas now pretty much secure on all avenues at this point, going to sit themselves into safe positions, and I think Dignitas will just sit back for a little bit longer, just to make sure the flip side don't do anything else that's going to be a little bit aggressive, considering they didn't spot bondik, so there's a good chance they might have missed something else here too. They'll slowly creep their way up over here onto the B site. Markelov, again, will still be the first player that has to try and respond to this one. He hasn't moved an inch since he took up this position over here on the close hugging point, but all that preparation for nothing. Kjærbye's going to take him down. WorldEdit does find a response over here onto Kjærbye. Now Tenzki moving in. That molly should force WorldEdit out of his hiding spot. He's looking for the shots there. Pimp's going to take him down. And although Blade has rotated his way into here, he's just going to walk right out, and that's an easy kill for Pimp. So he shuts it down. Dignitas up to 14. The final chance for FlipSid to contest the victory from Dignitas is coming up right here. And the big problem becomes that even if we do see FlipSid come out on top, they've got to do this, then they've got to build up their economy to a point where the one loss wouldn't just completely destroy them and give Dignitas an easy eke around to win the 15th point off of, or the 16th point technically off of. And also, the fact that, you know, again, they still only have those 2 rounds to work with, even after they've picked up this round, even after they've potentially built up their economy. They can only lose 2 more rounds, and they have to win like 10 more in order to win this one at this point. Not even to just tie it, but just to win this one outright. They need to win 10 more rounds in a row, essentially, at this point, as even 1 round, even with the strong economy built up, is going to be a huge mental block, and it could really get in their way. So a lot of pressure shifting onto the FlipSid players at this point. They might try something drastic. They're going to go, at the very least, DavCost will put himself into this position. No boost coming out from this one, as Markelov just going to keep himself out in the open. But at the same time, Dignitas not really pushing in for this B side at all. It's all going to be happening on the A side. Not a lot of direct contested coming out here from FlipSid on that A side either. Everybody just sitting back, taking up the default positions within the site. WorldEdit, though, is actually going to move himself forward a little bit to see if he can catch anything, can spot these players, finds the first stop shot. There's not going to be a response from Dignitas on that. They'll just stick to their current positions. They won't wrap around towards porches. There is a setup there waiting for them. And that would be the number 8 player. That will be bondik. Waiting for these guys to move in, and the smoke comes in. We'll see one pushing through this here. Blade's going to be able to spot it, but unfortunately loses his life for that trade. Pimp is going to be the one that takes him down, and now WorldEdit with inside the library. They're a little bit scared to push past it. They get a smoke, and WorldEdit unfortunately misses his opportunity, so now he's going to actually find that kill on a Kjærbye. Looking for another one, and he's going to pick it up on a Pimp, and some more luck came back on that B site, too. They found an additional kill as DavCost, with the assistance of Markelov, they were able to tag team down an additional one. Now it's just aizy. He's going to find one shot over here on a DavCost, but with 15 seconds left, he's running out of time. Doesn't even know that Markelov is still in this play as well, but nonetheless is going for it. He jumps out, and he's surrounded at this point, so bondik's going to shut him down, and FlipSid win the round they need to pick up here in order to keep themselves in this, but now begin a very, very long road of recovery to bring themselves back into this game, and Dignitas still with not a lot of reason to worry, just as of yet. They still have a very big cushion, but they're going to go for the buy-up here once again anyway. Good enough money to go for it, as you can see, not really lapsing a whole lot at this point. But after this one, they will have to go on to an eco, and this will be FlipSid's opportunity to try and rebuild that money a little bit, as I was talking about before, and that's one of the key things. So step 1 is complete. It's a 3-step plan. Step 1 is done. Win that round, prevent Dignitas from getting the 15th point and putting you onto an eco. Now is step 2. Don't let Dignitas win this next round and force you onto an eco anyway, and also win these rounds out with like 4 or 5 players left alive, so you can try to build up your economy, so that even if Dignitas win that round at some point over the next 9 rounds, you still have money to buy up again and challenge them and take them into overtime at the very least. And step 2 is the longest step, so it's going to be a while before I bring up that metaphor again. But now we just wait for Dignitas to make the move. WorldEdit's got a great smoke setup here. The shot comes out, not going to connect. Blade, though, thankfully doing a little bit more work, but he's going to end up getting traded out as he's a little bit overexposed. MSL will be the one to pick up that kill. Now they're out, though, and this is a fairly obvious push. Unfortunately for WorldEdit, though, he did pull back a little bit, so The rest of Dignitas, they're going to be kept in a veil of illusion for the time being. They're not really going to pull the big rotate here too, especially with the aizy over here trying to make a lot of noise for himself. And to be honest, they might even just use him to try to find an entry here as they're starting to pull back. They moved away from the mid choke point here. At least they moved the bomb back through there. Kjaerbye still sitting inside a boiler watching out for anybody to push in, but they're not going to catch it just as of yet. And Pimp, along with aizy, pushing forward. They are going to go for the entry on that B site, and it's a bit unfortunate here because now Kjaerbye's going to run into Markelov here. Markelov wins the trade, so now he can fall back with that pressure shifts over to DavCost. He's taken down by aizy. Markelov, though, connecting some shots. aizy and MSL both dangerously low at 16 HT and HP, respectively. FlipSid should be able to do this, but the question is, will they go for it now? And it looks like they will, at least for the time being here. Now, MSL's going to have to come out in a big way to catch bondik with only 18 HP. Oh, no! Bondik's just going to be able to spray him down through the car. Now, Bananas opened up. The final two players, they're both working in from within emo at this point, and this could be a great setup because Pimp is the one that's sitting back a little more. He's gonna hide, and hopefully when they kill aizy, they're gonna assume, oh, it's clear, and aizy even gets a kill too, so they're gonna push in. Now they've got to see, though. He picks up one, finds the second, and Pimp shuts it down. The plan works perfectly, and Dignitas steal the round away. Step 2 for FlipSid fails, and now they're out of money. Dignitas have their money back. And for FlipSid, now there's nothing left for them to do. They've got to go for the force buy up here, but it's going to be an upgraded pistols at the very most. We can see at least one mag 7 coming in for Blade along with an armor buy, but he's got no utility behind it, so he can't flash and shoddy. They got a FAMAS in play as well, so we do give them some credit to it, but still here, Dignitas has such a huge lead at this point. And here we go. Now we have to see if FlipSid can hold on. And if not, this will be the first map going by the way of their favor, and they'll pick it up. So they'll push forward. DavCost finds the first kill. Ooh, he almost gets aizy too as he goes for a poor time on that nade swap out to try and catch him on the fallback. They do bring him down to 6 HP, but still. Nothing he picked up there, interestingly enough, too. And, you know, Dignitas are smart about this. They notice that that gun is still going to be on the floor there as DavCost had to make a hasty retreat to get himself out of harm's way. So they go to pick up his teammate's AK and they just toss the other one out over the fence. So there's going to be a chance of them scavenging that. Now that's one gun that, unfortunately for FlipSid, they won't be able to steal away here. Still 4 in play, though, so it's still going to be an upgrade if we end up seeing FlipSid win out this round. The rest of Dignitas potentially going to get pushed into as well here in a second, but they're going to start to fall back. They got to pick up that bomb, and it'll be Pimp that carries it for the time being. DavCost will put himself up on top of second oranges, which is an interesting position. Don't normally see that very often. It's usually up on top of the first box, but with his 6 HP, obviously that's going to make a lot more sense, and you still have a pretty good sight on these guys, but now waiting as Dignitas pushes themselves in. He might get caught off guard by this, and he's going to have to completely rotate his aim, but they're going to creep their way in here now, and what the hell, DavCost? So, he spent all that time looking at the ground. I think he was trying to hide himself behind first oranges, but they already move in, and there's just no call on that one. So they're up to 3 kills already, and this is probably going to be the end of it. bondik and Blade with the final 2 left alive. bondik can try to work their way in here, but overall it's just not looking too good. So down goes Blade. Now bondik is going to be the final player left alive. They already know where he is. He's behind the truck, so this is it. Dignitas, they pick it up. They're going to win the first map 16-7, and that's going to end up closing things out here for map number 1. We're going to head to map number 2, guys, in just a few minutes, so be sure to stick around for that one. I'll be bringing it back to you. It's going to be over on Mirage. So once again, map number 2 here between Dignitas and FlipSid is going to be coming up in just a few minutes here at the StarLadder StarSeries Season 14, presented by iLeague. Stick with us, folks.